Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you heard of what do I want to call this? I haven't thought about that. Let's call it I don't know. We'll just. Have you heard of the secret mall apartment?
Secret mall apartment?
Yeah.
No. No. We're putting the P in podcast today, and in our shoes. But not our own. I'm going to pee in his shoes, and he's going to pee in mine. But who will pee in Alex's shoes?
Things I learned last night.
Is it okay?
Have you heard of Michael Townsend?
Michael Townsend, no?
This is him.
Okay.
Michael Townsend.
Is this him on Survivor? Is that why he's got that thing around him?
He never went on Survivor, but I'm not going to lie. I would not be surprised if he was a fan and this is where he got that
style
from. He's like,
I'm going to do that. For audio listener, he's like a scrawnier white guy, like kind of, he looks tall. And you know what I'm saying? Like when you can look at people's neck proportions and be like, that guy's pretty tall.
Yeah.
And so he's, probably, what is he in this picture? In his 40s, maybe 50s?
Yeah, probably.
You know?
Yeah.
And he's wearing an orange, what are those things called that they wear on the show?
They're like headbands.
Yeah, but there's a word for
them. They're like
them.
bandanas.
Yeah, but there's a word for them.
I don't know what.
Yeah, but there's a word for them.
Like a scarf?
Yeah, but there's a word for them.
Like a hanky?
Yeah, but there's a word for him. All right, that bit's done. So, yeah, but anyway, but he looks like, this shot looks like it's, he's in front of like a wall.
Yeah. So
who is he?
So he's an art teacher in Providence, Rhode Island.
That tracks. He does look like an art teacher.
And here's the thing, like I don't understand exactly what kind of art teacher. Like I couldn't figure out. He teaches mostly adults. Okay. But I couldn't figure out if this is like he is doing like freelance art teaching and he's got his own little like, I guess, private practice of art teaching and people come and learn art from him. Or if he was like a university art teacher.
People come and do art.
Or if like he had like a rec center art class. Like I couldn't figure out what kind of art teacher he was.
Okay.
But he's an art teacher. And he's also an artist. Like they're
called buffs.
Oh.
They're just called buffs.
Buffs? Oh, in Survivor.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like gators.
They are called gators.
Yeah.
Gator buffs.
Okay, interesting.
But like the buff is the brand. Survivor buff. And you can buy it from ParamountShop.com. And if you use code TILLN, it won't work.
It'll say, sorry, the code doesn't exist.
Said this code doesn't work because they didn't sponsor us yet. But if enough people use it, they'll be like, wait a minute.
We need to figure out who these people are.
Who are these guys?
And not give them credit for this. So he's an artist. And he does like a lot of like public art displays, right? His big thing that he's known for is tape art. So here he is at like the Children's Hospital doing tape art. Which if you're listening...
I was thinking this when I was walking through the airport today, because I don't know if you've been to an airport.
Yeah.
Airport has some good art, but mostly bad. Yeah. Well, it's all subjective, and you know what that means. If someone looks at something and is like, man, art is so subjective, that's their way of being like, this looks like crap.
This looks bad.
And
this is not
good. What I was thinking today, when I was looking at some of these sculptures, I was like, man, that took a long time for this person to do. Are they selling this?
They shouldn't have.
But I'm saying, like, are they selling it for a price that this person is able to make like I do comedy for a living. I understand the economics of how that works. I go do a show, I get paid.
Yeah.
This is tape art. This is what I did in my room, Here's
the thing that I gather.
For audio listener, it's shapes on a wall made out of tape. Like there's a person.
It's like painter's tape.
Yeah, and it's like he's made like a it's like a flat.
It's like drawing, I think.
It'd be like if you drew like with a pencil, just a one-line thing, but it's on the wall with tape. Yeah, and it's tape. Like that's cool.
Yeah, and so he gets hired mostly by like children's hospitals to do these installations at children's hospitals.
Is that in Kansas City? That's a fountain.
It could be. I honestly don't know. He gets hired all over the place to do these.
Okay.
But I will say sometimes they look like this, but sometimes they're like grand murals that are actually
oh my gosh,
impressive.
that's That's worth it, is what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like the first photo you showed, not worth it.
Yeah.
Sorry to this guy. This photo, that's
It's
crazy.
pretty amazing.
That's tape?
Yeah, and here's another one. And the whole idea of he's like the pioneer of tape art. And the whole idea is like they're temporary murals. And so like the idea is like we're putting up this really cool, intricate thing that's like difficult to do, and it's not going to last forever. And which is very interesting. He did this. This was in
which is just like life.
This was in the command center at OKC after the bombing. And so they hired him to
Is this
like,
is the Angels?
I think that's the idea. Yeah, it's a little on the nose if you ask me, but I guess it like really helped keep a lot of the people going in the command center to like as they were digging it out.
I can't.
Is the idea? Yeah, you can't make jokes about it.
I'm not gonna. I would never.
It's a little on the nose. Him and his little cohort of tapers, they also of tapeworms as they like to be called. They went around taping stuff. They did this huge project. This one's actually kind of cool. I mean, all of them are kind of cool.
Yeah.
But this one they did. They went around Manhattan. It took them 2 years after 9/11, and they did silhouettes of every person who lost their lives in 9/11 all over Manhattan. It was like this big project.
Okay.
That they did, which was very crazy. And then he's.
Is this like the thing they do is silhouettes of people who have died in tragedies? That's like the main use case for tape art, I guess.
I don't think that's the main use case, but he gets.
It does seem like that's a lot of the things he's contracted for.
A lot of the things he's got contracted for are tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hospitals and things like that. I think like, but I do think that it's an art thing. Like people are like, we use art to make ourselves feel something. And so like we need to put some art in here.
I'm not making fun of it at all.
To feel better. I know you're not making fun of it, but I think that it's like people say we need art so we feel better.
Yeah.
So anyways, so he at the end of the 90s, he had this other art installation he did where he collected a lot of his things throughout the 90s.
Okay.
And he found this storm drain tunnel and he piled them up in there along with a bunch of sculptures of himself that he dressed in his clothes from the 90s.
No. Because here's what I imagine. All right, you're two high schoolers. You sneak off to an empty park because you're gonna kiss, right? And that's what other high schoolers did. I wasn't a sinner, so you go out with your girlfriend and you're like, "Hey, let's go to this empty park," and then you see a storm drain tunnel. And you're like, you're trying to play brave, right? You're trying to be like, oh, I'll go in there. And then you shine your phone light and there's a dozen mannequins dressed in 90s clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then now you've screamed like a girl in front of your girl.
And she's like, I don't think
she goes, it's clearly a mannequin made of tape.
It's clearly an art installation.
This is clearly a 9/11 memorial. that you're not even. Why? I can't believe you react that way.
I can't believe you react that way. That's so disrespectful of you.
This is clear. What do you mean? Like, just pay for a storage unit.
Well, it was to memorialize that decade for him. Like he wanted to memorialize.
He was like, all right.
So he made this.
That time of my life is over. Time to put that in a storm drain. What are you talking about?
And so, like, he made sculptures of himself in poses that would help him remember different things that happened throughout the year with different items that he had collected. So sculptures had it. But the weird thing he did was he didn't just put the sculptures in the storm drain. He hung them around.
Oh my gosh, dog. That's terrifying.
Here's another one.
This is what I'm saying, dude.
Imagine just stumbling upon this storm drain.
Like, hey girl, hey, I know a place that we can sneak off and make out, and then you go in here and now you can never kiss anybody again. Every time your lips almost touch the lips of another, you're reminded of this tunnel filled with floating people. If you're an audio listener, I truly don't know if I can describe what's happening because they're held up by cables and they're literally just a bunch of mannequins floating in this storm drain.
Yeah.
Where, like, this is where, dude,
And if you look down,
let's
down,
play it through.
There's
You're
dozens
homeless.
of these.
You're homeless. You're high out of your mind. And you go into this storm drain.
Yikes.
Dude.
Yeah, this is crazy. In this picture, your eyes get drawn to those two, but you look down the tunnel, like there are dozens
of them floating through the thing.
And this was a big thing. He didn't put...
Oh, but that's also the grate. That's like the sidewalk above. So let's say that you're walking on the sidewalk. It's a sunny day, and just you're looking down. Maybe you stop to tie your shoes.
Yeah.
You stop to tie your shoe. You stay there, and then like just looking through the storm grate up at you is a fully dressed
Nordstrom mannequin.
That is psychotic.
It's crazy. The best thing about this is he never took credit for this. He never put anything that was like, this is for me. He didn't tell anybody about it. Urban Explorers just found this. And then it started spreading, and everybody started, and eventually the art community was like, oh, this is Michael Townsend, because they recognized the sculptures.
Yeah, they were like, that was a lot like Michael Townsend. Oh, and that's his shirt.
I remember him wearing that shirt.
Also, how upset would you be if you bought him that shirt?
He just left.
You know what I'm saying? You bought that shirt for somebody, and then they were just like, "Thanks,
I'm putting it on my sewer, man.
This will look great. This will look great in the sewer." That's crazy.
So, anyways, they lived in like what was like the art district of Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
Him and his wife at the time. And they lived in the best way I could describe this, and we're gonna have to extrapolate this a little bit for people outside of Kansas City, but it's like the West Bottoms.
Okay.
It's like this old derelict side of town.
Yeah.
Where all the buildings are mostly vacant, but there's also like apartments in them.
Yeah, there's things that are there, but they don't feel like they should be.
Yeah, and the buildings
That's
are
where
like
our
falling
podcast
apart.
started. Things that are here that feel like they shouldn't be.
Let me explain. Never mind. I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to explain this.
Why did you try to shake my hand like that?
Okay, I did not think. I thought we were going to do a high five, and then you just grab and kiss it. Kiss my hand.
I can't.
I'm thinking of those men. I can't.
Every time my lips pucker. Ooh, if I eat anything sour, I think about them.
Sorry, freaks out whenever his lips do that.
Trying to get a good thumbnail picture for YouTube. I got a mew. Hold on.
Don't talk to me. I'm mewing.
Don't talk to me. I'm mewing. Okay, so it's a part of town that like it's mostly vacant buildings.
Yeah, they're old. They're falling apart.
Used to be prosperous, but now it's not.
And the artists all live there. One of the specific building that they're in, there's a bunch of artists that have apartments there, and then they also have like art installations around the building,
right?
Because half of it's vacant, so they could just put up art installations. And then there's like a big music venue where
it's like
a lot
where
of
our podcast started, though.
Really,
if you go back and listen to the first couple of episodes, we keep having to stop and we reference it because of the chainsaw upstairs.
Yeah,
where it's like it's the kind of building where you could rent a studio to do your chainsaw artwork. You know?
Yeah.
You couldn't do that in an actual apartment complex.
Yeah, you couldn't rent a studio in like a business park.
Right.
And chainsaw art.
And then just, you know?
Sorry to the counselor next door. We're chainsawing today.
Hey, I know a place that you and I could sneak off together. And then you get into this old building, and then just upstairs you hear... Hey, that's a pretty good chainsaw.
That is actually pretty impressive.
So we watched that Ed Gein show on Netflix, and first of all, Ed Gein never actually killed anybody with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
but it's just driven. I can do scary movies if I know that I can get away from the scary thing. Does that make sense? Like slasher films,
Yeah.
I know that I could probably get away from the killer.
From a slasher.
You know?
Yeah.
Ghosts, those things come through the doors. There's no like running into a room, shutting the door, and then you're safe. All right?
Yeah.
I can't do those kind of movies because there's no escape. Right?
Yeah.
But a guy with a chainsaw, you ever held a chainsaw?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not light. They're pretty
That's
heavy.
true. That's
if you
true.
can't outrun a guy
With a chainsaw. That's
who's
a good
carrying
point.
a chainsaw,
That's a good point.
then not to victim blame, but like you probably
But it's kind of your fault that he got
like, dude, you can't outrun a guy. Like, have you ever held a chainsaw? Eagle Scout? So
Eagle
they're
Scout.
they're heavy.
Yeah.
They are.
You can't sprint after somebody with that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So anyway,
So they lived in that art installation
Right.
building. And they called it Fort Thunder, which was really sick, honestly.
which is what my youth group was going to be called.
But they had a music venue. There's like an underground music scene that like did a ton of shows there, and so it was like it was very very much like a cultural arts district.
Yeah.
Honestly, I cannot overemphasize enough how much it sounds like the West Bottoms. But
Right.
across the freeway from where they were at was a pretty large plot of land that was a few different things that got bought up by a developer who put a mall there. And it is a giant mall.
Oh, that is a big mall.
It's called the Providence Place Mall.
Okay.
And this is
What year is this?
99.
Yeah, that's prime mall season.
Yeah. And
yeah.
with where it was
Which
located.
I mean, like we've done an episode about what's that big mall we did an episode about the American
Mall of America?
No,
American Dream.
the American Dream.
Yeah.
And like the idea for these malls was that you would, but like it's the same thing like Zona Rosa up there or like the Galleria where I live.
Yeah.
Is that, and it got made fun of in the TV show Hacks that I've watched. She gets an apartment in the Galleria, so it's like literally the Cheesecake Factory around my house.
Yeah.
And she's like, why would I want to pay all this money to live above the mall? And it's like, yeah, that's why no one wants to.
What's really funny?
Those units aren't cheap.
Yeah.
So it's like you're paying luxury prices, and also you live above the mall.
Well, that's the thing that's really interesting is this era was when that idea became so popular. And I watched a video, and they had like a newscast of someone who was planning to move into the mall when it opened.
Right.
And she was like, how convenient would that be to be able to be like right there and have like all of your stores, all your restaurants, everything right there? And it's like, you're describing a city. You're describing
a
the
city. You're describing a city before we started designing them for cars.
Yeah, you're describing a city before we ruined it.
Hey, stop.
Stop.
It's a new year, new us.
Yeah,
we're not crashing out.
We don't crash anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We don't crash like cars do. The increase in pedestrian deaths. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like I would never like this was the era where the 90s and 2000s malls are exploding.
Yeah.
Because malls were, I mean, the 80s malls were huge, but I mean like they're still like moving into the outdoor malls in the 2000s. It was still like, it's crazy how, what I'm saying is, and maybe we should do an episode on this too. And sorry for this being too long of a tangent, I guess. But like malls, 80s, 90s, 2000s, that 20-something, 30-something year arc for malls, and then the very fast drop off.
Yeah.
Do you think it's entirely because of online shopping, or do you think that it's just because the mall model was never going to work?
No, I think it's online shopping because I think the mall model existed for a long time before that, and I think if it weren't for online shopping, I think it still would be convenient in a world that is suburbanized. I think the mall was.
You know what? And I'm gonna crash out for a second, but chill with me for a second. It's incredible that we let Amazon come in with all these big centers of fulfillment centers that they knew from the beginning they were going to put robots in. Yeah. And we were like, yeah, but they're making all these jobs. And it's like, why do you think Amazon, go to your local mall and see the jobs that Amazon already ruined? You know?
Yeah, yeah. It is interesting. Like every time any of these projects are announced, that's the thing that they told. It's like we're going to create jobs, but it's like.
So you're going to create jobs to build that building, of course. Yeah, and then once the building's built.
Yeah.
It's going to be robots one day.
It's going to be all robots.
And they plan on it being robots from the beginning.
Everybody else in the process.
Like, oh, yeah, but there's 20,000 people who are going to work there until the robots take over. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sweet.
That's a great plan, you know? But I guess that's what I was just thinking about. Like, I like the idea of a mall. I don't like the idea of living at one, but anyway.
I do miss hanging out at the mall.
Of course.
I do miss it. The mall was fun. It really was.
And you know what? And I think You made fun of me for being a Disney adult for a second, but like I do think that I enjoy. This is just me off the cuff thinking.
Yeah.
In the airport on the way here. Yeah. This morning there was like a couple sports teams and stuff in the airport, and it's teenagers being teenagers in the airport. Yeah. And I remember being a teenager, we were dumb, we were annoying in public, of course. And like, there was a time where I would see that and be like, oh my gosh, pull it together. Somebody like, but now I sit here and I go, you know what? You guys are being dumb in public. Yeah. Good for you. You know, have
we should
fun.
All get to be dumb in public.
And I think that's what I mean is that when I'm at Disney, I enjoy watching kids make memories. I enjoy being around. That's the atmosphere that I think I miss is the mall, is what you're describing. Hey, join us on Patreon if you want this to be ad-free. And also, there's a bunch of other perks. You get to, all episodes are ad-free. You get next week's episode right now. And you get to do monthly hangouts with me and Tim. Like it's like a virtual just hangout room. And we play games together. We talk. We have show and tell sometimes. We've made a lot of good friends through this. And so it's a really good time to do that. So either way, please share the episode. Tell somebody about it. These are all those ways to help us grow the show because we love doing it. And we want to keep doing it. So thanks for being here.
It's nice to be in large public spaces because we don't have very many of those.
And now every time I go to the mall, it's like, dude, the only reason I go to the mall, the only reason I'm going to the mall is to return something that I bought online, right? So now I'm at the mall. It's an inconvenience for me to be here.
Yeah.
And everybody else, it's an inconvenience for them to be here. Yeah. So no one's happy and no one's enjoying being there.
They have to walk through this maze of Kohl's. They make you go all the way to the back. And let me return this, and nobody's here shopping. Everybody's here. Yeah,
it's so weird to be in those places.
It is very weird. Yeah,
and I miss it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyways,
do you think we can get it back?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think we can.
All right.
So this
mall opens.
This mall had the apartments inside the mall.
Oh, okay. So like
this is the mall
because the Battlefield Mall was not built to live at. Yeah. In Springfield.
Yeah, no, and this wasn't a mall where you had apartments outside on the top floor. This is apartments literally inside the mall.
Yeah, we've never had this.
So it's a little weird.
Did your mall have apartments?
Not the mall that I went to. I do remember as I was like getting out of high school, they were building a couple of those around me.
Yeah.
But they were like the outdoor malls with the apartments outside.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That became super popular 2000s, early 2010s because the Branson Landing got built. I remember I was in like third or fourth grade. That was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And then because the Branson Landing is just Zona Rosa.
Yeah. Yeah. Technically, this is a mall. But
that we're in right now?
Yeah. Technically, this is a mall.
No.
Yeah.
Are you dumb?
Technically, this is a mall.
That we're in right now.
Yes, this is technically
if you're a dumb person, I'm sure it would be a mall.
No, technically this is a mall though.
Okay.
That was the opening scene from Chair Company. I was just doing the opening scene from Chair Company.
Well, what is a mall? We cannot recommend that show, by the way. Here's what happens. I always recommend TV shows and then like on episode 4 or 5, they'll do something that's insane. that makes me look really bad.
Yeah.
For recommending this show to you.
Yeah.
But I recommended it on episode 3.
Before you knew.
Before I knew.
So anyways, this arts district, all the people who lived in this arts district,
so like
they started building this mall.
Yeah.
And they were actually they were in stark opposition to the mall because they knew it was going to be this giant monstrosity.
Right.
And they knew it was going to bring all this traffic and they had a feeling it was going to gentrify the neighborhood and threaten where they live.
Okay.
And it was going to block their view of the city, which if you've never seen Providence, Rhode Island, it's actually like a beautiful city. It
does look really nice.
It's
I would move to the Northeast.
Yeah.
Would you want to move to Vermont with me? I would love Vermont.
I don't know anything about Vermont.
And I think that's what I like about it. You know?
Nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything about it.
No one talks about it. The only thing you know about Maine is like, oh, there are lobsters up there. That's the only thing you know.
So they built this mall, right? Uh-huh. And everybody in the arts district was like, look at that monster. We hate it. And so Michael and a group of his friends were like, let's do like a little like public art installation, like performance art. And so they decide in like protest to the mall, when the mall opened, they said, let's stay at the mall for 10 days and see if anybody notices. And so they all were like, we're going to stay here.
And And this is art.
This is performance art.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's the justification I've given for sneaking into like a college graduation. It's like, this is performance art, but really it's just me being dumb.
Yeah.
All right. I guess you know what that is something else this year. Happy New Year. This is another thing I was like, man, I got to do more like blind date graduation stuff. So 2026 I'm going to be doing a lot more performance art. So
yeah.
Be ready to observe.
Be ready to observe. I like that framing. So they go in, and the whole idea was like whoever can last the longest. 8. There's 8 of them.
8 of them.
8 of
these.
It's
who can last the longest?
Yeah, the idea is who can last the longest.
This is a Mr. Beast video before YouTube.
Yeah, actually, that's actually
me and my 7 friends are going into this mall for 10 days, and the last one out wins the mall. Congratulations. You're the owner of the Battlefield Mall.
Good luck. Now you got to revive it.
You have to handle the lease agreements. Dude, that's the other thing too, man. Like the places that have like 25-year lease agreements, man.
Oh gosh, that's
like
crazy.
there are travel agencies that signed like a 20-year lease in 2007 who now are still in that.
Yeah, that's insane.
And it's like your business has been dead since 2008.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's crazy to think you're going to be able to be successful that long.
I don't think that's what was crazy about that.
That's what's crazy.
We're on year 8 of this. Year 9? We're on year 9 of this.
There is no chance I would have signed a 9-year lease at the beginning of this. Would you?
Yes.
I would have been way too skeptical about our ability to be successful at this.
You're not even thinking about our inability to quit. It's not about your ability to succeed. It's about your inability to stop.
Well, no. It's not about. I just would be like, I would look at that and be like, oh, I'm going to be paying for this myself for 8 of those years.
Yeah. Which we have. So that they're doing a Mr. Beast style thing before.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Okay.
And it starts out like you would think it would start out. They are kind of going around the mall, exploring, having fun.
Mall closes at 10. They're kind of hiding through the shadows.
Well, here's the cool thing about this mall.
24 hours.
They have a movie theater. So the main section
live there.
Well,
you can. There's a curfew.
There's a separate entrance for residents that get them to the upper level, but the bottom level closes.
Got it.
So like there is a point at
which
night.
is also
crazy.
But wait. It's also like the Bass Pro in Memphis. Okay, it's that giant pyramid that's also a hotel.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That you can just stay at. And then at night, you can sit on your balcony and look out over, and this is not an exaggeration, Bass Pro. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you find an image of inside? Is that you can stay at this very luxury lodge-themed hotel and then sit on your balcony and hear the sounds of crickets and running water inside the largest... And again, I'm not making this up. Bass Pro shops. This is insane.
That is nuts. I'm trying to pull up okay, yeah, you can see the hotel from this
That's
angle.
what I'm saying, dude.
It's so ridiculous that
I just don't understand. This makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, this is crazy. So this is the interior, and you can see that back section is the balcony of the hotel.
Yeah.
So that overlooks.
There's a hotel up there.
The store. You can see it's just
you see what I'm saying? Like it's not. It's not any different than any other Bass Pro.
Yeah. But you could just.
But you can stay there.
And then at night it closes.
Hey, honey.
And there's no one there.
We've been married for 20 years. I've prepared a special trip for our anniversary. Baby, you and me are going to stay at the Bass Pro Hotel.
The Bass Pro Hotel.
The Bass Pro Hotel.
So they are kind of exploring the mall, doing the thing. This mall, the reason why this worked out so great is because the mall had a movie theater.
Okay.
It's the movie theater would have late shows. So the mall didn't close till after midnight because of the movie theater.
Got it.
And then it opened early in the morning. So there was only a few hours it was closed. And so the idea was like, okay, we are going to hang out at the mall all day. But then when it gets close to closing time, we got to find a place to hide because we're staying in this mall for 10
also
days.
Maybe sleep.
Yeah. So they do the whole day. And then after the day, they all sneak off to places to try to find places to hide.
Do you have like a picture of the floor plan for this mall? Do you have like a map? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I don't have a map. Let me see if I
Okay.
can just pull one real quick.
Sure.
But they go around trying to find places to hide. Some of them find like weird spots in stores, but most of them try to find
Fitting rooms.
That's actually a pretty decent idea because there's no cameras in there legally.
Okay. What a weird thing to say.
I didn't mean for that to be as weird as it was.
What you meant was like they're not legally allowed to, but it sounds like you put cameras in there is what it sounded like. You were like, no, legally they can't. But it came out like there's no cameras in there. Legally. No cameras. That's what it sounded like.
I didn't put any cameras in there.
There's no cameras in the fitting rooms. Legally. Hands up. Don't shoot.
Okay, I got this picture. I got this map.
I'm just trying to figure out how big the mall is.
Oh, it's huge.
Okay.
I mean, you saw that picture from the outside. Oops, I just
that one. Yes,
I was trying to.
I have already seen this image.
I was trying to grab this picture.
You're right,
and I grabbed the wrong one.
I've looked at this image a lot. I would love to see a different image. There we go.
The inside.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So it is a very big mall. This is a mall map, so it's kind of hard to see how big this is.
Okay,
but it is a big mall.
Another thing is that I was traveling for some shows, and in a small town in Missouri, there is a standalone JCPenney. Have you ever seen a standalone JCPenney?
No, not like
JCPenney is not
at the least in a strip mall. But not
this was like a standalone building. This was JCPenney. And it's like, dude, I'm not going to JC. I'm going through JCPenney to get to Auntie Anne's pretzels and Hot Topic. Those are
Hot Topic.
And like maybe I'll go to Zoomies to compare prices on Vans.
Yeah.
And it's like that's what JCPenney is not a store you go to. JCPenney is the store that you reluctantly wade yourself through to get to where you're trying to go.
I don't know. I buy pants from JCPenney sometimes.
Yeah, of course you'll buy stuff from there, but you don't go there to buy stuff from there. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. I don't know.
Like you'll go to the places you want to buy stuff from and then be like, oh, well.
I guess I'll check JCPenney.
I guess I'll check JCPenney. And then it's like, okay, well, I do need a pair of khakis for my cousin's wedding. And like, even though they're going to get divorced, I'm still going to have to go, right? It's like, you knew that as a sixth grader too. You're like, that's never going to last. And so like,
I'll see you at the divorce.
Let me know when this ends. That sounds like you want to, that sounds like you want to marry her.
Kiss her once.
Let me know when this is over. Legally.
No, so they disperse around the mall. They find different hiding spots.
Right.
But what most of them do is they find
pretty sizable mall.
They find the service access points.
Yes.
So it's like if you don't know, most malls had these areas.
Well, because also the stores close their gates too. That's kind of, you don't want to get locked inside of a store.
Yeah, because then what are you going to do? Just pee in the shoes?
Yeah.
Somebody peed in all our shoes last night, and not just
all of them. That's different. That's intentional.
All of the shoes are full of pee.
All the shoes is intentional. That's a you plan to do that. Someone peed in all of these shoes. That's different than someone peed in these shoes.
Someone peed in the spare shoes.
Have you ever? Have you ever? Alex is already typing as if I'm going to say something. I don't know how to ask this on the podcast. Maybe we don't. Have you ever peed into a bottle?
Yeah, of course.
You don't realize how much you pee until you frantically, it's like reaching the top of the bottle.
You're like, oh God,
I gotta stop, right? Like you're like, oh no,
it's getting too close.
This is more than 16 ounces of pee.
It's too much pee.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I was panicking one time. Anyway, there was no way for me to bring that up. And then I poured that bottle into some shoes. And so, yeah, you don't want to get locked in a store is what I'm saying.
But anyway, so everybody disperses and try to find the place they're going to hide.
We're not going to cut that out, by the way. We're leaving the pee
I know.
in,
We're
right?
leaving the pee in.
Okay.
We always got to leave the pee. So Michael and his wife, remember, this is a competition. They're trying to see who can beat it the longest.
That's right.
So everybody splits up. They find their places to hide, and people brought their backpacks with like sleeping bags in their backpacks and things. And they were like, okay, we're going to wrap ourselves up in places and hide. And so Michael and his wife, though,
also security was pretty lax at the malls at this point, you know?
Yeah, it existed, but it wasn't.
It wasn't security.
Yeah.
Mall cops became like a thing in the 2000s.
Yeah, because of Paul Blart.
Sure.
No, Michael and his wife, though. Michael was like, hey, I think I know that there's a place we could get where this will work really well for us. Because I have this running route that I run every morning that went right in front of the mall during all of construction. And there's something really weird about this mall that actually took it forever to be built. And it's because the plot of land they wanted to build it on was cut in the middle by these railroad tracks and a river. And so they built this mall over the railroad tracks and over the river.
Okay.
And so it bridges over that. And part of that construction made it to where, for whatever reason in the architecture, there's this little sliver where kind of the two buildings meet, but they never actually kiss. So there's a little gap there.
Not kiss.
And as it was being built, he would run by it every day and just kind of take note and be like, I wonder what this little section is going to be.
I wonder what this is.
And he noticed there's this little section where they never quite meet. And then all of a sudden there's like just an air gap. And they close that in. And he's like, I think there's like a room there. But like there's it's like
but there's no building.
There's no building. It's like a hidden little room there. And he's like, so I bet we could get there. And so they go digging through the bowels.
So basically what you're saying is that he challenged his friends to hide in the mall while having a plan to hide in the mall the whole time. So
he's
from
like,
day one, he's like,
they're all gonna get kicked out.
So basically he sees an open window in this thing. He's like, oh, that'd be cool to live in there. He goes, but I can't bring this to my wife and go, hey, do you want to go live in this air pocket in the mall? So instead what he says is, let's make a challenge.
Yeah.
To all of our friends.
Yeah.
Hey, let's challenge our friends to see who stay in the mall the longest. Yeah? Yeah, that's crazy. I've got a really good spot. And she's like, honey, please don't take me to the store, the sewages again.
Yeah,
like,
please don't take me to your weird little
we can't go to the sewage. It's full of my mannequins. I've got a place that's fresh.
I got a place with nothing in it.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Wide open opportunities.
Yeah, we could put so many mannequins in this room. Wait till you see it.
I'm going to put so many pee-filled shoes in this room.
There's so many pee-filled shoes.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it seems like he did have a plan.
Yeah, he definitely had a plan.
Okay. He just didn't want to seem weird to his friends.
I don't know if he didn't want to seem weird to his friends, and I don't even know if like he was thinking about this from the beginning. But while he was there, he's like, I think I know the best place to hide.
Yeah.
And so they go through the bowels. They end up finding a service entrance that connected to this like weird little connection tunnel that eventually they could get to that air gap between the buildings. There's this thin little hallway that, here's a shot of it. In some areas, it was pretty wide. In some areas, it was really, really thin. Okay. And so there was certain areas where they had to actually shimmy through this hallway in the mall to get to the other side.
Okay.
And then there was a spot where it opened up like this, and there was a ladder. And the ladder goes up, and there it was, just this large vacant open space. And so they camped out there, and that's where they hid, and they ended up winning this competition with their friends.
Of course.
Meanwhile, something else is going on because they live on the other side of the freeway from the mall. And as they expected, gentrification did come to town. And somebody
got really expensive.
Well, somebody just bought that whole district.
Yep.
And they leveled the district. They evicted everybody who lived there. They leveled it. They built.
I will say that is nice that didn't happen in the West Bottoms. Like they bought the buildings and then they've been revamping them to.
Yeah, they've been trying to
restore the buildings rather than just tear them down. That is nice, but it also sucks that then they do that and then it's like, okay, rent here's $4,000. You're like, no one's paying that.
Yeah. So this place, they actually tore it down. They put in a grocery store. Their apartment building literally is now a parking lot. And so this was a really interesting thing because they find this spot in the mall. Then their apartment gets taken from them.
Wait, do they like fully move into the mall?
And so they said they went to all the public hearings to try
to be like, hey, no,
with
don't
this.
tear down our building.
And so even with the mall, like even before their building was a part of this, the mall, like a lot of the space where they were putting the mall was unused land. That was like right next to downtown. And one thing that they constantly said in these hearings was the developer was like, we're just trying to develop unused space. And his wife, after they took their apartment, said, well, what if we develop the unused space in the mall?
Okay.
So they said, I think we could pull this off. There's a couple issues, though. It's in the bowels of the mall.
Uh-huh.
And so it's hard to get there. And also, it's
illegal. We're squatting.
It is technically illegal. But
we can't live here. Legally. That's crazy.
Hey, if you love the show, a great way to show support is by getting some merch. We got lots of great stuff. I'm going to showcase some of it right now. This is like our little TILLN QVC. You can get it's a podcast sweatshirt. Very sweet. The nice thing about this is no one knows what podcast you're talking about. So you wear it in public and you can tell them about your Lord and Savior, TILLN podcast. We also got this is one of my favorite things we've ever made. The Fiddle Off Fest hoodie. It's got the devil playing a fiddle. It's not really the devil, it's a skeleton. And then all of the bands on the back of it, like it's a festival, but spoiler alert, these aren't bands, these are jokes from episodes. So worth checking out. And this is one of my favorite things we've ever done. This is for the real fans. This is an old one. We've got a Tim Stone's Get Well Quick Trick shirt, and it's very cool. We got some really good designs. Darren is good at designing stuff, so support his dream. No one will hire him as a designer, but you can by buying his merch. It's our merch, but it's his designs. And so leave a comment. Say, Jared, you're good at this. We like your art. He really needs it. He needs your support so bad. Please make him feel better about it. And buy some merch. It helps make this show keep happening. You can tell people about how much you love this show with it. So
I was even trying. I was like, all right, I'm going to wait out there and do time.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, you're going to do a 2-minute merch ad.
It wasn't a 2-minute merch ad.
Oh, Jaren's a good designer. Jaren's a good, give him a high five. Like, dude,
make him feel good about his art.
And then you're going to make him listen to 2 minutes of ads? We got to do all that, and then it's going to be like, back to school this fall. Like, no wonder we will hate this thing.
They're skippable ads.
They're not skippable.
They are skippable. Yeah, YouTube Premium. Leave all this in that ad. But they said, okay, we could. This is there's those weird hallways you got to go through, but that area that it's in is like a service area of the building. So technically people can get there. They didn't see anybody there the whole time they stayed, but technically people could get there. And that area they were at was kind of just this big open landing. And they were like, wow, the problem with that is if we're just hanging out in there and somebody walks through, we're there. We're just exposed in public.
Right.
But down that area, there's just tons of cinder block walls with doors that just lead to different service areas where there's like electrical units or cooling, just random service things. And so they said, let's build a wall. So him and his 8 friends, they went to Home Depot and they bought about 1,400 pounds of cinder block and they got Nordstrom bags.
Oh, yeah, to look like you were, yeah. No, we're just shopping at the mall. Dude, it's like freaking...
Those clothes look really heavy and very square.
They're dragging it on the ground. Wow. Fur jacket, huh?
Fur jacket.
Not a real fur coat.
So yeah, they did a round of that, pulling supplies in their backpacks and in Nordstrom bags and stuff like that. That ended up being pretty impractical. What they found pretty quickly though is there was in one of the parking garages there was an emergency exit that you could get to that access place from. But when you went to the emergency exit, the alarm would sound.
Right.
And it took 2 minutes. It was a 2-minute alarm that would sound. And so.
All right, guys. We just gotta wait it out. We gotta see what happens. Did the police show up? No? Cool. It's not actually connected to anything. And mall cops don't exist yet, so.
Yeah. Well, there was security. And in fact, the security's office was in the mall parking garage on that floor at the other end of the garage.
Got it.
But what was useful about that is they had windows from their office that just looked out into the garage. And so they could easily just drive by and see if anyone was there and if anyone was paying attention, and then quickly get to that door, open it, unload all their bricks, and then jump in the staircase and run with them to where they were going.
So for 2 minutes, it's going off, though.
Yeah, it does go off for 2 minutes. And so they, over the course of a few months, slowly but surely moved these cinder blocks through the mall.
And built a wall?
And carried it up to that spot. And they started building this wall to make a doorway for, to close off this area, to make an apartment in the mall. There was one time where security saw them loading these cinder blocks through, and security pulled up. They opened the door, security pulled up, and we're running all these cinder blocks through. And security talked to him, and Michael just confidently was like, yeah, we bought all these cinder blocks earlier today. Then we stopped by here on another errand, and my car won't start. And so one of my friends, he's going to meet us, and he's got a truck, but we got to get all the cinder blocks down to the first floor to load his truck. And so we know we're going through the emergency exit, but it's just easier than having to try to walk the other way. And the security guy was like, okay.
Yeah.
And that was,
because here's the thing about being a chatty person. All right, you can usually get away with it because the security guard people, they got that job because they couldn't be real cops. And
God, this guy's talking
and so he's
so much right
but he's
now.
just sitting here, he's like, oh my god,
This guy won't shut up.
yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah.
And so they unloaded all the cinder blocks, carried it through that little maze labyrinth to that spot, and they built a wall. They got the plaster and everything, and they plastered this wall, and they got a door, and they installed the door with a lock on the...
So they have a fully sealed apartment.
Yeah, they have a fully sealed apartment with a lock that only they have a key to. The mall does not have a key to this apartment.
Of course not.
Because they don't know it exists.
Right.
And so now they're like, well, we've got our own place. So then they run some extension cable. They did this before they built the wall so they could build around it, but they ran some extension cable down through the service hallway to an outlet somewhere that they found and plugged it in. And so that way they could run power into the unit. They did not have a bathroom. They would go into the mall if they had to go to the bathroom, to the shoe store.
You wake up in the middle of the night to go pee, and you're like, oh, all right.
Sneaking through the mall.
You know when you're peeing in the middle of the night and there's part that you almost fall over.
Yeah.
You know, you're peeing and you're like, oh, shoot. And then I don't know if this happens to you, dude, but my pee at 4:30 in the morning. It's like that's the time. 4:30 or 5 o'clock. It's like I'm gonna wake up at 6.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes my body is like, is this worth it to fall back asleep? And my brain is like, yes, please do it. Please fall back asleep.
Your body's like, we don't have to.
My body's like, yeah, we're gonna be up by 30
Yeah,
and you're like,
fine.
no. So anyway, like when your pee is, when your morning pee, when you're peeing in the morning, like in the morning when the sun comes up and you're peeing in the bathroom, like. But we
talked about pee way too much in this episode.
That morning pee,
where
you're standing there and it's just going for gushing. So long, like it's to the point where you're like, do I live here now?
Is this my life?
You know what I'm talking about?
Am I ever gonna leave?
For real. Sometimes my wife will hear me peeing and she'll go,
are you okay?
She'll go, are you not done yet?
That's too much.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm hydrated. Hey, I can be in here as long as I want. Legally. That's crazy. Sorry. Hey, sorry for all the pee talk. All right. We're done.
So they went.
We're putting the pee in podcast today. And in our shoes. But not our own.
That's an out of context quote for sure.
I'm going to pee in his shoes and he's going to pee in mine.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
Alex just wrote that down.
But
who will pee in Alex's shoes? Oh, we have a weird throuple situation going on over here where I could pee in your shoes, you can pee in mine. There's no one to pee in Alex. There's no one to pee in Alex's shoes. Unless you want to do it by joining us on Patreon. That's right. If we reach 200 subscribers on Patreon, we're going to let one of y'all pee in Alex's shoes. Hey, welcome to the new year. We're not changing. Some of you were like, oh, wow. This episode, they've done a lot less tangents and they've been really sticking to the story until now. Hey, for real though, I do gotta pee if we can wrap this up.
Yeah, I do too. So they get power up to that apartment. They get a wall built. And now they're able to. They hung like work lights around so you can see in there.
But they're like gonna live here.
Yeah. So now the problem was like, oh, we need to furnish this place. It's kind of hard to pull our furniture in here.
Yeah.
But they said, but luckily, we're in a mall. So they went to the furniture store in the mall. And they bought some furniture, and they were like, all right, do you want to come back? And they're like, we'll just take it. And so they just walked out of the furniture store with a couch, with a big hutch, with a table, with some chairs.
But like, how'd they get it in there through the shimmying through the stuff?
Well, so the main way that they found initially, I probably should explain that a little bit better. Where they found it initially, like you shimmied through the whole place. And that actually led all the way outside. There was a way to get out of the building.
Oh, okay.
Because it technically wasn't indoors. Like it really was a spot where the buildings just didn't connect.
Okay.
And so it was almost an alleyway. But there was also ways through service access points to get there. And so you could, if you went through that alarm in the garage, there was another door that actually went into the movie theater. And you could get in through there. And so there's just different spots in the mall where you could get through service entrances to get up to that spot. But that wasn't the initial place that they found.
Okay.
And so initially they had to go that route. And they did for a little bit with the cinder blocks, because after they got caught with security, they're like, there's too much heat on us. And so they shimmied them all the way up through that route, because that was
safer.
A little safer,
yeah,
than setting off the alarm. And so they just walked all this furniture through the mall, and they went and they bought artwork. There was a Salvation Army, so they thrifted some items, and they furnished this apartment to the point where they had a full place to live. So that is the wall that they built. It very clearly looks like
cinder block, the one that looks like it's not professionally built.
And they brought a TV and brought a PlayStation up, and so they could play PlayStation together. They had these couches, they had artwork, they had a little ficus in the corner.
That couch looks like your old one a little bit.
Yeah, it's so great. They had a little dining area that they set up.
This looks like a true crime photo.
This one does.
This does look scary. They had like a full hutch. Go back to that. Like, what are they putting in there? They're fine china?
Actually, I think so.
Are you having guests over?
Fine china up there. And so this is the floor plan of their apartment. I don't know what's really happening with that middle part, but did they build a bathroom? So this whole project, they kind of had a master plan. So what you saw there was the living area and the dining room. They were working on the kitchen, and eventually their plan is they're going to go down to the bedroom and then tap the water and sewer lines and put in a bathroom and have a full apartment where you could live in. And they had been living here. Living belongs in very strong air quotes, though. Nobody was staying the night regularly. They'd stayed the night from time to time. I think one of them said the longest stretch they stayed was like 5 days. And so they would stay, but this wasn't a primary residence.
Right.
Because they couldn't make it a primary residence because they couldn't get mail there until they found out that there was a mail room at the mall. So then they started going down a rabbit trail to figure out how can we get mail at the mail room at the mall.
Okay.
Like if we can get mail here, then we're residents. I don't know. I don't know if they ever succeeded on getting mail at the mall.
Sure.
But they had this whole plan to build this out, and they were there. It took about 4 years for them to get from found this place to get this living room done, the dining room done, and start on the kitchen. They were living in here for 4 years, living again in air quotes, but they spent a lot of time. They were hanging out in here, having meals together, inviting their friends over to see it. But then one day they came into their apartment and the door was broken off the hinges. Like somebody had kicked the door in.
Oh no.
And they went inside and somebody had robbed the place. And what's interesting is...
Robbed it?
Yeah. What's interesting is there was a lot of valuable items in the apartment. But the things that were stolen was only two things. There was a photo album that they had and their PlayStation. And what they ended up finding out later down the line was that security found the apartment. Security saw this door and they were like, we don't know what this door's to. And they tried to open it and they didn't have, none of their keys worked. So they kicked the door down and they're like, somebody's living here. And then they decided, let's take this photo album so we can figure out who they were. And then they said, if we take the PlayStation, we could look at the save game logs to
find out when they were here.
When they've been here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So security at this mall was freaking on it.
Except for the part where they let them carry in cinder blocks and build a fake wall and like live there for like for 4 years. For 4 years, this has been under my nose. But also, once I found out about it, I knew exactly
I was
what to
on
do.
them.
I found this and I was like, let's take the PlayStation and look at the saved card memory so we can see what time they've been playing. And then we can figure out when they've been here. Also, take the photo album. That's pictures of all of them. Jinkies, he's on to something. That's actually crazy. So then they're walking in the mall. They surely get recognized by security, right?
So then things
They're walking
changed.
to the mall, posters all over the mall. Have you seen this man? And it's just them.
Have you seen the wall people?
The wall people.
There are people in
AKA
these walls.
the tapeworms.
So here's the thing. This changed a lot for them. They're like, they know we're here.
Yeah.
And so we can't, what they had done up until this point, their whole ruse was, we're just shoppers at the mall. And so we just walk through with our items and nobody's on the riser. We carry Nordstrom bags full of our supplies. Nobody thinks anything. We're just living in the mall. But now it's like security's onto us. They have our photo album. They have our save games. They know I've been playing way too much The Sims 2. And so they're like, we can't let them find me. And they changed kind of the rules of the group to where now we're only there after close. We sneak in through that alleyway entrance.
Got it.
We hang out there after close. We cannot be there during opening hours. Unfortunately, one day, Michael had a friend in town, and he was driving her back to the airport, and they were kind of catching up. They were driving right by the mall, and he's like, hey, you want to see something? And so he figures it's going to be a quick thing. We're just going to go up in there. We're going to see it, and then that's it. Right? And then we're going to leave, go to the mall. It'll be really fast. Or go to the airport. It'll be really fast. And so he takes her up there.
Yeah.
He opens up the door. He's like...
And security's waiting for him?
No. He opens up the door, brings her in there, shows her the apartment. He's like, this is our apartment. He's like, we're working on the kitchen right now. Our goal is to go around and build the bathroom and the bedroom back here. I've been here for 4 years. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're kind of crazy. This is almost as crazy as that sewer thing you did.
You're going to mark that down for sound, whatever that was. Almost as crazy as that
sewer thing.
Sewer thing.
Try to say it again. That's almost as crazy as that sewer thing you did.
Right.
Yeah. And so, but then they're getting ready to leave. They're packing up, they're grabbing their coats, and they hear the sound of walkie-talkies outside the door.
Uh-oh.
And the door opens up, and it's security, and Michael sees them, and he just says, surprise! And the ruse was up. They were like, we know you've been here for 4 years. And they took him in.
Wait. They knew, they were like, we know you've been here for 4 years.
We know you've been here for 4 years. We just thought it was cool. No, they're like, we know you've been here for 4 years. We looked at those save games. And so they took him, they tried to charge him with a lot of stuff. They took him to court.
Right.
With a whole bunch of stuff. They thought like they were going to put him away for years. And the judge, after the whole case was heard, the judge heard everything, and the judge was like, I see no crime here. And he's like, I'm going to charge you with misdemeanor trespassing, and that's all I think that this deserves.
And you can never go to that mall again?
Well, after that, the mall was really mad, and the mall was like, fine, lifetime ban. And so they gave him a map with these red lines around the property line. And he's like, you're not allowed to come over this map, the lines ever again.
And he was like, oh, no.
Oh, no, I can never go to the mall again.
I can never go to the mall again. And and then he partnered up with Jeffrey Bezos.
He started Amazon.
Because he was like, you know what? I hate this place. I'm going to make sure your business dies. So really, if you think about it, this guy
basically killed them all. And so what's crazy about that lifetime ban, though, is the lifetime ban got passed. He was never allowed to come again.
Sure.
But recently, a independent filmmaker partnered with Jesse Eisenberg, who you might know, and they produced a documentary film about it called The Secret Mall Apartment.
Oh, okay.
And it was like it premiered on Sundance and like that whole like indie film documentary thing.
Okay.
And what's really funny about this is I'm guessing Jesse Eisenberg's connection pulled this, but they got the premiere at the movie theater in the mall, and they got them to lift the lifetime ban for one night for him to be able to go to the premiere at the mall. So he was able to come back for the premiere. Yeah.
Well, what happened is that now it's different managers of the mall, and also no one goes to the mall. And so they're like, oh, you guys want to do a big movie premiere and bring a bunch of people to the mall? Please. Yes. Actually, if we'll bring that old manager back. We'll make the manager kiss him. Oh, that wasn't.
I don't think we don't.
No, we'll make him kiss him.
We don't need the kiss part.
No, I don't think that we wanted to do that. Pucker up.
Pucker.
I'm just thinking of those.
I don't need that.
Scary mannequins.
I don't need that part.
No, it's cool. We can just do the movie premiere. Yeah. Do you want the manager to kiss him though? No.
No.
You keep bringing that up.
I understand why you think
every email ends with, should the manager kiss him, by the way?
Manager kiss him? Don't you think the manager...
Hey, just kind of... Hey, don't you think a good addition to your premiere would if they kissed and made up? No.
And now...
now the Nordstrom manager is going to kiss Mike.
The manager of Nordstrom is like, nobody told me this.
Hey, give me your shoes.
What is happening?
And Jesse Eisenberg's over there like, whoa. He's not very... Come on, man.
He's not
like super expressive.
Not very bold.
Yeah, he doesn't even stand up for him. He just kind of, he's like, I think you gotta kiss him.
You have to kiss him now.
Supposed to kiss him.
Sorry, man. Can't do anything about that part. Yeah, so that's the story of how these people built a mall or an apartment in the mall.
Wow.
They got away with it for 4 years.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe they did it.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think of how to end this. But all I can think about is how much I want to pee in your shoes right now. Hey, should we kiss?
Oh, God.
Fiddle off. Whatever, man. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you like that and you want another one that you just love malls, we did an episode about the American Dream, which is a giant mall they were trying to put together in New Jersey and kind of fell apart for different reasons. And so that was like an older episode, like much longer ago, like a couple studios ago. So you can check that out. If you can't wait for another episode, you can listen to next week's right now on Patreon. You can join our Discord where you get to hang out with me and Tim and a couple, just a bunch of different other fans of the show. And then every month we get to hang out and a Zoom call and just have some fun and get to know each other. So we would love for you to be part of that. You can scan the QR code or there's a link in the description wherever you're listening. And we'll see you next week on Things I Learned Last Night.